So despite this kind of nice feeling we have a lot about fungi, there's also this kind of trend that we see where fungi are kind of promoted as kind of being these outside kind of things to be feared in a lot of ways. Especially in our culture in the United States, we are more or less fungophobes, which is reflected in a lot of our grocery store choices of fungus a lot of the time. But a lot of these kind of fears come from specific ways that fungi have interacted with plants, as well as then with us. So fungi and plants, as we kind of talked about, have a very long evolutionary history together. And most of it has been very beneficial. But not all those interactions have been beneficial. In fact, fungi are a really important pathogen when it comes to plants. In particular, some of those pathogens have influenced our own history quite a bit. For instance, this fungus, known as ergot, which attacks the grains of a lot of our important cereal crops, can have really important implications if it gets contaminated in our food supply. In fact, it's been speculated that a lot of the Salem witch trials, for instance, are in fact derived from ergot poisoning, which has heavy nucleic acids that essentially are able to poison us and have severe psychological impacts on people that consume too much. And the reason why fungi like to attack plants is because plants have a lot of good stuff in them that are good for them to consume. They have things like sugars, and sometimes plants aren't interested in sharing those sugars. And they also contain a lot of water for them. And so a lot of these compounds are really kind of ripe for a fungus to go after and try to consume for its own metabolism. However, though, plants do have a lot of good things going for them. Plants are composed of a lot of cellulose, which is an extremely tough substance to break down. And so attacking a plant is not always that easy. As well as plants are able to produce a variety of compounds that we call phytochemicals. And these phytochemicals a lot of times have very strong antimicrobial properties, whether they're defending themselves from bacteria or fungus. But if you can circumvent things like cellulose and these phytochemicals, there's a lot of good stuff in those plants that are going to allow you to have a really good time consuming that plant. If you think about this powdery mildew, for instance, they can actually get into the plant and start to consume some of these nice fleshy areas and get some of these resources. And so for fungi to attack plants, they need special adaptations to do that. In particular, fungi use this a structure called a haustorium. And this haustorium lets the fungi kind of clamp onto the leaf cells and allows them to absorb nutrients from them. So similar to what we see in mycorrhizal relationships, except these are kind of full-on antagonistic ways to kind of clamp in. Kind of insidiously that these fungus are able to do is they're able to actually keep the host cell alive a lot of the times through these attachments with this haustorium. So they're not just killing the plant and rotting it out and eating those kind of parts, so to speak. They're actually able to kind of parasitize the plant and just skim off the good stuff from that layer. But the plants are also going to be able to respond to this. Plants can say, well, if I'm getting attacked, I'm just going to kill this cell and then cut off that food supplies. Or they can move around phytochemicals and try to kill that fungus that are attacking them. And so the other way plants or fungi can get around this to attack these plants is they can really time their attacks to make sure they're taking advantage of maybe a dormant period of the plant or taking advantage of a time when the plant is just needing to move a lot of nutrients through it. And because of this, we see a lot of fungal pathogens have very complex life cycles. Particularly when it comes to a lot of our important forestry fungus that can degrade timber product. Rust funguses are kind of infamous, especially where I'm from back in Michigan, as being a very big concern to the forestry industry because they like to attack five-needle pines, which are things like white pine that are the backbone of eastern, kind of northeastern U.S. forest industry. And what this pathogen is able to do, it's able to transfer between two different hosts. In this case of this rust fungus, it's able to infect and kill a lot of times white pines, but they also have more of a dormant kind of moderate infection on gooseberry or the genus Ribes. We also know them as currants. And by being able to switch back and forth and kind of mold your life cycle to your hosts that you're attacking, it's going to be able to allow these fungi to take advantage of certain things that are going on in those plants. For instance, Ribes, it's able to jump on as it's a more kind of resilient host that's going to be moving its nutrients along. And it's able to kind of be a moderate infection and skim those nutrients off the top. But to produce, this fungus is going to need to take a lot more from its host. So it's able to switch onto white pine, where it then really attacks this plant and forms these huge big cankers on it, which can kill the plant, especially younger white pines. And this is such a severe problem for a lot of forestry industry. For instance, in the 1950s, the U.S. Forest Service out east had a campaign where they were intentionally trying to go in and just kill every single currant that they could find in the forest. And this campaign, though, it was very kind of not well thought through, and of course there's a lot of Ribes that are still going to be there growing, that it really probably altered a lot of our forest communities and the diversity of currants that we have in eastern North America. Fungi also do some weird things with plants that only they do. And the relationship between wood and fungi is really important to our current climate situation. So wood is an extremely complex material. It's made of very complex phenolic rings, and these are very hard to break apart and destroy these bonds. And they form these lignin pieces, which, like I said, very few things can actually destroy these lignin. But one of the few things that can are a group of fungi known as the white rock fungus. And these white rock funguses produce very specialized enzymes that are able to break down wood. So that's why if you're ever in the woods and you find a down log, it's a lot easier to kind of rip it apart, because these fungi have already worked and degraded this lignin and make it into kind of a more soft material that other things can now have access to breaking apart those compounds. Interestingly, is we only really saw kind of white rot in the fossil record until after the Carboniferous period. And what this suggests is that we probably wouldn't be able to, if we kind of buried a bunch of logs in the woods, to essentially get things like coal anymore. Because up until the Carboniferous period, wood was kind of falling to the ground, getting covered up, and getting pressurized into fossil fuels. But with the advent and the evolution of white rock funguses that specialized in breaking down these compounds, that there might not be enough time for these wood products to form fossil fuels going forward. The other thing that this white rock fungus is really known for is that other animals have formed their own symbiotic relationship to kind of team up against plants in order to get at those nutrients that plants produce. Interestingly, insects in particular have really taken this and turned it into a fine art. Beetles, especially the ambrosia beetles, are known to actually carry fungus with them when they go and start to attack a plant. And what they do is they'll have special parts called mycelium on their bodies that they actually carry little pockets of fungal hyphae with them. And when they start to eat a plant and enter into that woody trunk, that fungus can kind of fan out through the tree and start to attack the tree. Every beetle, and even within those species, it seems that there's very particular strands that allow those beetles to attack very particular species of trees or even subspecies of trees. But even despite this, there is some outstanding questions of whether the beetles are actually eating a weakened tree or they're actually just taking that fungi with them and farming it, so to speak, and eating the fungus directly. So to review, fungi have a lot of ways that they've been able to take advantage of plants and have this antagonistic relationship. And there's a lot of unique adaptations that we see fungus have that are able to circumvent plants who are trying to basically stave off these infections. And these negative impacts have had really important consequences for the ecology we see, as well as our long-term kind of history on Earth.